before we start the video, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps the channel grow. So, let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking a little bit of time to spend a little time with me, your boy KT. Today, we are continuing on our NFL Division Series, ranking our best and worst teams in each division in the National Football League. Today, we are focusing on the NFC South, possibly one of the worst divisions in football this year, but it is a division that's seen some teams make major improvements aside for one team. This division has a lot of potential for the future, with two teams that I think have definitely made moves to get better and set themselves up for a potential run at the division in future years. One team that I think is going to win the division outright and will continue to win the division for a couple of years as well. And then just one team that's probably going to be one of the worst teams in football. So before we start the video, guys, I just want to let you guys know that I am still doing my $100 Amazon gift card giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. If you look at the top right of your screen or on the screen currently, you'll see the video that I want you guys to go to. I'll also post the link in the pinned comment. Make sure you guys go to that video specifically and follow the rules on the pinned comment so you'll be eligible to be able to compete in the giveaway. Remember, I'm only announcing the winner of the giveaway at 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you guys are hitting that sub button if you're new, so we can get to that 1,000 subscriber milestone before the end of the year. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button and that notification bell, so as it helps the channel grow and lets me know that you guys like this type of content. And without further ado, everybody, we're going to get into our worst team in the NFC South. I think this is a pretty obvious one if you follow football or if you follow the NFC South, so let's get straight into it with number 4. Alright, starting off with the last team in this division, we're going to start off with the New Orleans Saints at number 4. I got them going 2-15 on the year, 0-6 against the division, 1-11 against the conference, 1-7 against home at home, 1-8 on the road, 0-9 against winning teams, 2-6 against losing teams, and 0-6 against playoff teams. For the New Orleans Saints, it's been quite the road this offseason. They made some good moves, had a couple puzzling moves as well. Let's start with the most obvious one is the new hire head coach in Kellen Moore. First time head coach. He joins both Greg Newsommeyer and Brandon Staley on his coaching staff to be his DC, and Greg Newsommeyer to be his offense coordinator, if I'm saying his name right. Kellen Moore has been one of the more interesting offensive minds in the NFL, coming from the Eagles last year. It's been rumored that he's going to get a head coaching job at some point. He finally has his chance with this New Orleans Saints team. And to me, when I look at this New Orleans Saints unit, you know, it still has some core pieces on it. Alvin Kamara, they got Cameron Jordan, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. They went out and drafted Kelvin Banks Jr. this year to pair with their other, I think is going to be a future star, right tackle, Talois Fuaga, with a decent interior offensive line with Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz at the guards and center spot. This team has some type of building blocks. I think the main thing with this team is two things. It's the age of this team. You know, Alvin Kamara is getting up there in age, and you never really know how, you know, older running backs are going to perform, which is why they went out and got Devin Neal in the draft as well. You know, Cameron Jordan's not getting any younger. Carl Granderson's not getting any younger. Kalen Sanders is not getting any younger. Demario Davis is not getting any younger. They just had Tyrann Mathieu retire, even though they replaced him with Julian Blackmon. They re-signed Chase Young, so that's a plus. I do like the signing of Kool-Aid McKinstry as well. Justin Reed, getting a little older, not too old though to be their strong safety, is a good pickup for them. But this team is getting older, man. It's not getting younger. They got a lot of old pieces, especially on that defense, and you know, the best days of Cameron Jordan are behind him, along with Carl Granderson and Demario Davis. I think the other reason why this team might not win many games is that they don't have a clear-cut quarterback this year. They're currently in competition in training camp with Tyler Shaw and Spencer Rattler. Neither of these two guys have shown much promise in training camp, or at least giving you indications that they're going to be franchise quarterbacks. It was kind of puzzling with the Shaw pick anyway. I wasn't really a big fan of the Shaw pick like that. I thought they passed over specific other quarterbacks that they could have went out and drafted. You know, I can go in on that much further, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I think the New Orleans Saints are just point blank tanking. With this new head coach, they know they're not going to win a lot of games, and with them being an older team, they have some guys on here that have health issues as well. The aforementioned Tyler Shaw has been injured a lot. Chris Olave cannot stop getting concussions. Alvin Kamara has dealt with some injury issues before, so what this New Orleans Saints team is probably doing is they're probably going to tank this year. I only have them winning 2 games, so next year they can walk into the next draft and draft the actual quarterback of the future. There's tons of quarterbacks coming out next year with the likes of Drew Aller and Lenore Sellers and the guy from LSU. But their roster and the way they've approached this offseason screams to me that, hey, we're going to give Tyler Shaw a chance to see if he can do something with this roster, and Kellen Moore to see if he can do something with this roster as currently constructed, if he can somewhat get something out of Tyler Shaw. If not, we're going to put Tyler Shaw on the back burner. We're going to lose these games so we can tank for a draft pick and pick the quarterback that we really want next year, and then we'll go from there. But the way this roster is constructed, the way they've approached the offseason, while it's not bad, I like the way they've shored up their offensive line. They got core pieces in their receiving room, still got decent pieces in their running back room. If they can get a little bit younger on defense and find that franchise quarterback next year, I think the New Orleans Saints can get back to a competitive level next year. But as of this year, I got them going 2-15, finishing last in the NFC South. I just don't think they improved enough like other teams in their division this year. So I got them finishing 2-15 on the year and finishing last in the NFC South for those reasons. Moving on from the least improved team to probably the most improved team in this NFC South. At number 3, I have the Carolina Panthers finishing 6-11 in this division, going 3-3 against the division, 5-7 against the conference, 3-5 at home, 3-6 away, 2-9 against winning teams, 4-2 against losing teams, and 0-6 against playoff teams. For the Carolina Panthers last season, it was just about getting right for them. They went out and hired Dave Canales to be their head coach, first-time head coach and offensive head coach. And it started off rocky for them last year, but later in the year, they started to see some of the investment come back in a good way later in that year. We saw considerable improvement from Bryce Young, especially later in that year, despite being benched early in the year and having basically no confidence. Now he's walking into a situation where he's now played well enough for the Carolina Panthers to try to buy into him and give weapons around him. We have seen the Carolina Panthers have needs this offseason. I think they filled them pretty well. They needed pass rushing and they needed receiving. Well, they got their receiving threat all right. At number 8 in this year's draft, in the first round, they picked Tetairoa McMillan, a big, tall, and very, very good receiver out of Arizona, possibly the best receiver in this draft. Was the perfect pick. I had them slated at number 8. He was exactly what this Carolina Panthers team needs. You add him to a receiving room with Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette, the second-year wide receiver. They're able to coerce Hunter Renfrow out of retirement to add to a room also with 2 young receivers and Jalen Coker, and probably the steal of this year's draft, and Jimmy Horn Jr., who fits that Carolina Panthers team like a glove. Add that to an offense that already has Chuba Hubbard, Tommy Tremble, and a decent offensive line led by Taylor Moton, Robert Hunt, and Austin Corbett at center. And you got a good unit here on offense that Dave Canales can take advantage of. Not only that, they have a defense that is much improved as well. Last year, it was Derek Brown and J.C. Horn or bust. And when Derek Brown went out, I wouldn't say they were completely terrible, but they could get no pressure on the quarterback. They're now getting him back this year, but they also add 2 really, really good draft picks as well to shore up those edge positions. And Princely, I'm going to say his name, but I might butcher it. Princely Umanilin and Nick Scourton from Texas A&M, 2 young pass rushers with upside that I really think could add value to this team in the future. You pair them with Derek Brown and J.C. Horn with a genius on the defensive end like Ejiro Evero, who could possibly get a head coaching job in the future. And I think this Carolina Panthers team is going to see considerable improvement, not only from the defensive perspective, but from the offensive perspective as well. while that may not reflect in their record, I think they're going to be very competitive in a lot of these games. Once it starts clicking for Bryce Young under Dave Canales' system, Dave Canales has a proven track record with these quarterbacks, reviving both Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay. So I think he can work with Bryce Young pretty well to be able to get him to a standard and being the franchise quarterback that they took #1 overall. That being said, I still think that the Carolina Panthers have a little bit longer to go. I think they have a decent running game. They were able to get Trevor Etienne to add to a room that they have already had Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. So I think they're another year away. Let this thing marinate a little bit. Add a few more pieces. Let this thing click for everybody, especially Bryce Young. If he's able to prove that he's the guy, they're going to add more talent to this team. They're going to go all in on this team, and the Carolina Panthers could be one of those teams that we want to watch in the future. For now, I'm going to keep them at 6-11. They only won 5 games last year, so this is a considerable improvement. While I do think that it's only one more win, you will see the improvement. They'll be much more competitive in these games, and I think Bryce Young will play better. He's shown it before, later last season. They say he played mediocre somewhat, but for a quarterback that had no confidence, who had been benched, had all this bad press, he really played well later in the year, and a lot of the stuff that happened later in the year with some of the drops and stuff could possibly be fixed with these latest additions. So I like where the Carolina Panthers are going. Give them one more year and they'll definitely be competitive, but I have them finishing #3 in the NFC South for now. But I definitely want to see this continuous improvement from the Carolina Panthers. Now we move on to the Atlanta Falcons, who I have finishing #2 in the division. I have them finishing 9-8 overall, 5-1 against the division, 7-5 against the conference, 5-3 at home, 4-5 away, 3-4 against winning teams, 6-4 against losing teams, and 2-4 against playoff teams. That's probably going to be crucial for them going into this year with the playoff team record. For Atlanta last year, it was a mixed bag all around. They started the year with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback. They drafted Michael Penix in last year's draft, and that was a confusing pick at the time. So Kirk Cousins starts the year, and they playing pretty good football, I would say, early in the year. As the year progressed, though, Kirk Cousins started to drop off a little bit. Turnovers started to pick up, and just overall effectiveness wasn't there for Atlanta. So they made the switch mid-season to go to Michael Penix, or late last season to go to Michael Penix Jr. And Michael Penix showed some real promise out there with this offense that's full of weapons up and down. They got Bijan at the running back spot to pair with Tyler Algier, his secondary back. They got Drake London and Darnell Mooney to be the number 1 and 2 receivers. They just went out and got DJ Chark Jr. and Ray McLeod, who can possibly take up one of those wide receiver 3 spots. They still have Kyle Pitts, who's yet to have his full talent unlocked on this team. They went out. They still have a pretty good offensive line with Matthews and McGarry at the tackles, Lindstrom and Bergeron at the guard spots. Even though Drew Dahlman left in the offseason, I'm interested to see what's going to happen at that center spot with Ryan Newsiel filling in for Drew Dahlman. Even though I think they'll be pretty fine because Dahlman barely played last year. He played about 9 games last year, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see what happens there, but that's kind of a big loss for them on that team. The defense, as always, the issue with this team is specifically pass rush, so they went out and addressed that in the draft by taking both James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker to already add to a room where they have Leonard Floyd and Morgan Fox to be their pass rushers. For now, I think that Pierce and Walker are both developmental prospects, so don't expect too much from them as of yet. They still got Caden Ellis, who's one of the better linebackers that people don't talk about. And then you add that to a secondary that includes the likes of A.J. Terrell and Jesse Bates III. While I think their secondary spot isn't, the other 2 spots might be up for debate in Mike Hughes and Jordan Fuller, they're definitely solid enough to be able to win some games. I think it's just mainly, how everything is going to come together for Michael Penix this year. That being said, the secondary issues still might be a problem. I'm not sure I trust Mike Hughes to be your secondary corner. I think you can get above average play out of him and Jordan Fuller. And then their pass rush. Leonard Floyd is known to be a little inconsistent. So their defense is going to need some work with Jeff Ulbrich back there calling the plays. But I do think it's going to be a step up from last year, this team could easily win 10 games. It's just the fact that they played two very good playoff teams in both the Bills and the Washington Commanders pretty early in the season, and that might cost them later in the year. I don't think I have them winning those games, but they definitely have a lot of talent to make some noise. They could win this division because the Buccaneers might not be as strong as they were last year. I'm interested to see what Zach Robinson has in store for Michael Penix Jr. this season. They have tons of talent on offense. Hopefully Darnell Mooney can stay healthy. Hopefully Drake London can stay healthy. Hopefully Bijan can stay healthy. And they finally start utilizing Kyle Pitts, who's I think has a lot of talent for a young tight end. Michael Penix, he's a very good processor. He has a strong arm. Not too mobile, but mobile enough to get by. And last time, a Falcons quarterback who had number 7, who was left-handed, played for the Falcons, we saw an MVP candidate. So I definitely think big things are happening for Michael Penix Jr. this year. That being said, I'm a little suspicious about the pass rush right away and the secondary right away as well. So I don't know if I'm ready to give them the division yet, but I definitely think they're going to be in the running soon. So I'm buying stock on the Atlanta Falcons this year and for the future. Just think they need at least one more season, one more offseason of additions, and I'll be ready to buy in. But I got them finishing 9-8 and going second in the NFC South. And finally, the model of consistency. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going 10-7, winning the division, winning the NFC South. I have them going 4-2 against the division, 7-5 against the conference, 5-3 at home, 5-4 away, 2-7 against winning teams, 8-0 against losing teams, and 2-4 against playoff teams. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's been nothing but success for the past couple of years. Super Bowls, playoff appearances, and it's continuing with the emergence of Baker Mayfield, who has had his contract restructured, so that's good. But the resurgence of Baker Mayfield has been incredible for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as they've had consistent success with him, winning playoff games and going to the playoffs as well. And Todd Bowles has been really well at coaching this defense as well, and you've seen the results of that in these past few seasons. Even though they got a heartbreaking loss against the Washington Commanders in the playoffs, I still think they're good enough to win this division. That being said, I think they're good enough to win the division by winning 10 games. Only one more game than the Falcons this year, and the Falcons can easily win this division. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers didn't get much worse in the offseason. They still have enough talent on this team to compete for the division and for a playoff spot, starting with Baker Mayfield, their franchise quarterback. Running back Bucky Irving is one of the guys that I don't think people talk about enough as being one of the better running backs in the NFL. Highly elusive, fast, can break a lot of tackles. I thought he had a really nice rookie year. You pair that with the always consistent Mike Evans, Mr. 1,000 yards himself, probably going to be a Hall of Famer at some point. Hopefully they get Chris Godwin back, but if not, they'll have Emeka Egbuka from the Ohio State University to pair with both Jalen McMillan and Sterling Shepard to be their bench receivers coming into the year. They still got Cade Otton. Hopefully he will be able to play a full season. Offensive line has seen a lot of changes, but one thing that hasn't changed is they still got Tristan Wirfs over there at right tackle, and I think their defense is still pretty much up to standard, while much weaker than past defenses. They still got, I think, is going to be a deadly pass rush. While they just lost Anthony Walker Jr. for probably the season, Vita Vea, Kajaya Kancey, Yaya Diaby, who, if he lives up to his full potential, could be a guy that can get a lot of sacks. They still have Levante David. They signed Hassan Reddick last year. Antoine Winfield and Jamel Dean are still veterans on that defense in that secondary. Antoine Winfield is one of the most underrated strong safeties in the league, in my opinion. They got two young corners in Zion McCollum and Christian and Tyke Smith as well to be their nickelback. So, while in past years, they had Carlton Davis and all those guys in that secondary, this team has not really changed much over the past few years. They still got enough talent on offense to be able to win this division. One thing that has changed, though, which might be it might be a problem, it might not be. Liam Cohen left for Jacksonville to be their head coach, and he was a big part of Baker Mayfield having a career year last year as well. Before him, it was Dave Canales. Now Josh Grizzard steps into that role, trying to continue the success that both those guys had. I don't doubt that he'll be a good coordinator because he's been coaching under Canales and Liam Cohen as well, so he's probably familiar with the system. The verbiage might just be different. But this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, they're good for about 10 wins this year. They got a decent enough schedule to where they're able to win games. 8-0 against losing teams is probably going to be the reason why they win a lot of these games, win the division. But they're not that much better than the Falcons. I'll say that right now. I might be overrating them just a little bit. It all depending on what Baker Mayfield is able to do, and can they get consistent enough pass rushers from these guys that they have high hopes for in Kancey and Diaby, and is their secondary going to hold up as well? Losing Anthony Walker Jr. really hurts, as that was a need for them in that interior linebacker spot, but we'll see. But I think they're still pegged for about 10 wins on the season. I think they're going to beat the teams that they need to beat. I think Baker Mayfield's still going to have a pretty good season. They won 10 games last year. Is pretty much, I don't think they've had too much of a drop off in talent to where they won't. Hopefully Josh Grizzard can step in and continue the success that they have on offense. Todd Bowles is going to do his thing with the defense. So I still think they're pegged around 10 wins this season. That being said, the other teams in the division are getting better, and this team is not getting any younger either. They still got a lot of old vets on it. We don't know if Chris Godwin's going to play this year. We don't, the health of Mike Evans is always going to be in question as he gets older. So it's still an older team. So there are teams beneath them that are coming. But for now, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to keep the Buccaneers at number 1. I think that they'll do enough to be able to win this division. While they might not go far in the playoffs, I think they'll have enough success in the regular season and beat the teams they need to beat to be able to win it. I think they have enough talent on both sides of the ball. And when you're coached well, you can basically win any game. So I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going 10-7, winning the division, winning the NFC South this year. All right, before I outro the video, just want to give an update on some quick alterations to the standings so far. I had to make some alterations. There's some things have happened in the past few days that I think I might need to raise awareness about. So I have the Giants dropping to 3-14, not surprising. That's probably the over-under on what games are going to win anyway. I have both the Patriots and Dolphins dropping down to 5-12 and 6-11 respectively. The Dolphins, I'm kind of iffy on right now. They could definitely be a better team than I have them, but I gotta wait and see. The Jets, that's another team that I'm kind of thinking about swapping for the Dolphins as well, because the Jets haven't really proved anything, and I'm starting to see around the community that not too many people are high on the Jets right now. That being said, I do realize their lack of offensive playmaking talent, especially in their receiving core, and maybe even at their quarterback position. So I'm kind of regretting that Jets pick a little bit. I have the Bengals, like I said in the last video, dropping down out of the playoffs. I have them dropping to 8-9, even though they just got Shamar Stewart done. They have seen no movement with Trey Hendrickson, and it's over a couple of million. So, and without him, they don't really have a defense per se, especially a pass rush, because I don't think you can rely on Shamar Stewart to get you a consistent pass rush like Hendrickson. So watch that situation. He might get traded. And then I have the Titans dropping down to 2-15 because, rookie quarterbacks, they rarely come in and have success. Also, the Titans just lost Treylon Burks to a massive injury, to a fractured collarbone. They ended up releasing him, so that's another weapon gone for Cam Ward that I thought could be a very big weapon. So that kind of disappointed me as well. But at the same time, it is what it is. The rookie quarterbacks rarely come in and have success, so I'm going to keep them at that 2-15 range. But that's it. I just wanted to add some updates to the standings video, or to the standings in total. Because I did say this stuff can change at a moment's notice depending on what happens. So that's all. But for now, I'm going to outro the video. Let me know what you guys agreed with in this video as far as the NFC South. Do you agree with anything? Do you disagree with anything? Let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, as it helps the channel grow. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop one of these videos. Go to the giveaway video that I have pinned in the comment section and in the links of this video so you guys can read the pinned comment and be eligible for the giveaway. Remember, I'm only announcing the winner at 1,000 subscribers, so go get your name signed up. Go follow all the rules under that video. Link in the pinned comment, and get yourself eligible for that $100 gift card giveaway. And as always, guys, make sure you follow me on social media. There's bound to be news, updates, and other stuff about the Bears and other things and football and all that stuff. And, of course, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm out. Peace.